A recent initiative that we took in Antwerp is the development of the so-called Velo Project. And the Velo Project is basically a user-friendly and relatively cheap rental scheme where citizens or visitors, for that matter, can rent a bike and ride with it from one station to another station. This, of course, enhanced the cycling culture. It counters many of the disadvantages of private bike ownership and private bike use. And it became very quickly very popular. There even is a waiting list now for these, to get these rental bikes. And it has been part of our solutions to get people out of their cars onto bikes to make their mobility in the city. We hope to spread this initiative to the suburbs of Antwerp, but this of course asks for huge investments that we need to make. But it's a project that we hope to realize in the upcoming years. If I walk through Singapore, I immediately see the big difference between Antwerp and a city like Singapore, and it is of course that Antwerp is a very old medieval city. It is not a planned city. It has grown organically, which means that of course in the city center we have many narrow streets, very complex routings in which buses, trams, pedestrians, cyclists, cars are fighting for the same space. This is of course a very big problem in Antwerp. So we've invested a lot in dedicated cyclist paths, and we will continue to do so in the coming years. We have a big infrastructure project coming up. This is the completion of the Antwerp Ring Road, and we are trying to find the money to spend on to give the cyclists the place that they deserve in this very big project. But of course it is a problem to find the space for cyclists and to ensure the safety of cyclists. We are trying to reduce systematically the so-called black points. These are dangerous crossings where we see in the statistics that many cyclists get injured. So infrastructure is for Antwerp the main problem, and that is what we're trying to solve so that cyclists can realize their mobility in a safe way. An initiative that is coming up is the so-called low emission zone, and that's a zone that covers the entire historic city center, where we have a lot of mobility and a lot of pollution. In my country there are a lot of diesel cars, because diesel has always been promoted by the government, and this of course gives a lot of pollution problems. Certainly older diesel cars spread a lot of fine particles into the air, which gives a poor air quality. And we've decided that from 2016 on, all the diesel cars are no longer welcome in the city center. We will take infrastructural measures to prevent them from getting in. And that way we hope to reduce our fine particle problem with 40%. This is of course a harsh measure because many people own cars like this. We announced it a few years ago so that everybody can adapt, and we will make no exceptions except for very old classic cars. The war on drugs that we are organizing is a classical mix of prevention that we try to organize in schools, for example, treatment. If drug addicts are caught, we do not send them to jail, but we try to get them into rehab, and we try to get them treated. And then of course there is the enforcement, and as a mayor when I came in office I thought that we should step up urgently our efforts in enforcing our drug laws. I formed a special police squad to focus on the drug problem, and since then we see some amazing results. We have closed over 60 bars in which drugs were traded. If you allow as a bar keeper that drugs are traded in your facility, you are closed down if you are caught. We also see the numbers of arrests of drug dealers going up, and we're trying to, with the Justice Department, focus on unraveling the financial network of the drug traders. And as a result of all these efforts, we see that violent crime is going down. I always suspected that there was a link between the drug trade and violent robberies, and the results show that I was right, because for the very first time in a long time we see violent robberies going down at a rapid pace. So I think I can say that after 1 year and a half of our new drug policy, you can see some quite good results. Well, I will certainly not tell you what Singapore could learn from Antwerp. You're always welcome to visit and see how we get things done. But from Singapore to Antwerp, it's quite evident. If you walk through the Centre for Livable Cities, you are baffled with the long-term planning and the capability to make very tough decisions to get your mobility straightened out and to take care of some urban problems. You are capable to make the decisions, although sometimes they are hard decisions, and you make these decisions in the long term. So you have a 30-year vision on the city development, and you already start planning, you already start making decisions and realizing projects. This, of course, is an example, I think, for every city in the world. I was baffled to see how you do it. In my country, I must say that it takes a very long time to get things done. I was talking about the big mobility project in Antwerp. We have a huge congestion problem, and as we are a main port, just as Singapore, we need to take care of this problem, and we've been talking and studying about that for 10 years, and now we finally have the decision. We still need to realize the project, and actually it should have been there already. And then if you look at Singapore, if you see how you are already building and constructing for problems that you will have in 10 or 15 years, I must say I'm very, very, very impressed.